Hey there, welcome back to the Tile Experts YouTube channel. I'm Trevor and I'm here again with Oscar, one of the owners of the Tile Experts in Edmonton, Alberta. And today we're talking about things to consider in selecting tile for your space. So Oscar, when you brought this idea to me, I thought, yeah, that's a great topic because, some people may not think about, they might see a design in a magazine or on TV and they're thinking, oh yeah, I would really love to have that. But then when it comes down to actually looking at the numbers and looking at the tile in the space, maybe there's other options that are a little bit more economical and provide a better outcome for them. So let's talk a little bit about that. And you tell me, like, step one, what do people have to consider when they're choosing a tile size?
Yeah, so step one, if you do find the tile that you like and want to buy it, which is the scenario for sometimes when we walk into a client's home, they're like, yeah, I have the tile ready to go. It's exactly the square footage that I calculated based on the space that I want tiled. And so we're like, oh, wait, so now do you have enough waste? So then they're like, no. And then now it's like 6 weeks away or discontinue because they bought a year ago. So that's something that we try and educate the clients. It's like, okay, depending on the space that you're doing and the tile size that you have, we want to accommodate a wastage for the tile. And in that regard, so wastage, depending on the size of tile, we go into like a subway 3x6 or 3x10, 3x12s, even a 4x8. Your tile is so small, the wastage is not that great. So, we can get away with 5-10% waste on that. But then when you jump into a 12x12, 12x24 or bigger, on a 12x24, we like to have 20% wastage. And then 24x24 or bigger is actually like either piece count or like 25 to 35% waste. So, and then the whole thing comes into, okay, are we tiling a room that is square, diagonal, triangular, or how many different like surfaces? It all kind of comes into account.
Yeah, so there's a lot of different things to consider regarding how the amount you have to order.
Yes.
If you want that look and you want that certain tile in that space, right?
Yes, exactly.
So give me some examples of smart choices for, let's start with tile backsplashes. What's a smart choice for a tile backsplash?
Oh, well, so smart is not always the most visually smart against aesthetics. So like you could be looking for just something timeless, elegant, which is your typical subway. And so you can also consider that smart because it's less waste. But then you have the whole trade where, okay, we can get subway for a more economical price typically, but then the labor is more on the higher end side. So the cost to install the tile for a 3x6, 3x10, 3x12 subway is higher. But then you jump into okay, let's just do a mosaic. Well, a mosaic is, again, more detail oriented, higher labor and more labor intensive. So then also, again, now the mosaic has jumped up in price and the labor stays up in price as well. So it's really more about what is the vision you have and whether you want to save on the tile or save on the labor to keep a balance.
Just so that people are understanding, what they really need to know when it comes to installing tile, whether it's for flooring, backsplash, showers, the size of the space, the size of the tile matters as to how much you got to order, right? So when you come to a place and people look at the bill and they say, hey, you ordered way extra tile, what is this about? Then you can say, hey, it's because of,
Yeah, exactly. It's because of, we're handling that much tile because we are going to need it. And even though you don't see it down, it's all the cuts that were made when we were installing the tile. So
yeah, let's talk about specific patterns. So let's say somebody wants to do a herringbone pattern. With a typically, rectangular tile, of course. Let's talk about that a little bit of wastage in that. What do you go for a recommended percentage of overage for that?
Yeah, we would go on the 20% above. And again, if the tile gets bigger, it gets more wasteful because, the cutoff on a herringbone will not always be useful on the opposite side. Mm-hmm. And so, it becomes very wasteful. especially in a kitchen backsplash when we do such a small space, right? You typically have like 18 to 24 inches total wall space from the top of the counter to the bottom of the cupboards. So then installing herringbone looks fantastic, but it's very, we have a lot of waste on the tile side. Yeah, a lot of cuts.
And then let's talk about, we did fireplaces. So doing a tile surround on a fireplace.
Yeah.
There's a lot of different things that you can do. Now, what about when people, change directions? Let's say they want to do, special features, change direction of the tile or add a different, texture or different type of tile in the design as well.
Yeah.
Like what are the considerations there?
Yeah. So, again, if you do a special feature, then you're looking at on top of the stove, typically that special feature, an inlay. We would do some sort of rectangular pencil or feature tile to separate the two areas. And what they've done is, typical bricklay on the field area. And then in the inlay, we would do the herringbone, which would be nice. And, for that type of stuff, we would still just add the regular waste because for such a small amount of space, we wouldn't really necessarily need that much more. Yeah.
What is something other customers should consider when they're getting tile flooring? So tile floor.
Yeah.
Rectangular, square, large formats, like go through all of those.
Yeah. So when you think about that, you could think, for the purpose of a shower, if you go a large format, you'd want something like a matte finish or a texture finish for non-slipping. And then, on an entrance, you'd also not want glossy. Some people do select glossy still, but as soon as that gets wet, it's really slippery. So you want to be careful. And then on the wall, we always go for a glossy finish because it's just good for, the reflection of the natural light. And also in a wet area, it's just that much easier for water to bounce off and get cleaned off. Yeah. And then for sizes, it's more about grout, like amount of grout that the client wants or doesn't want.
Right.
Like we just did a consultation this week in a shower that they selected the shaved pebble stones and they're tired of doing enhancing and sealing and the amount of grout that they have to clean, or it's not like maintaining the same color consistently. So they now want us to switch it to a large format with a lineal drain. They already had the lineal drain, but they still had a pebble in there. So we're going to do, like a 24 by 48 tile. So in like contrast, you'd have 100 grout lines to 2 grout lines, right? So
right,
it's like, they're like, yes, no grout lines. I love it.
Yeah, just the maintenance of it, right?
Yeah, exactly.
That's a little bit much.
Yeah.
Is there anything else, considering wastage, purchasing the right amount of tile? Because I guess at the end of the day, it's probably better if they just rely on the contractor to measure and order the amount of tile that's required.
Yeah, that is the biggest thing. Is when you're doing the selection, if you find it first, buy it, and then hire a contractor, that's where it gets tricky because, again, like it might be a mosaic where sometimes a mosaic is okay to buy them in sheets and the cutoff is usable in some areas, but other times it's such a pattern that every single cut is not usable. So we have to take that into account and be like, even though we're using a third of a sheet on a kitchen backsplash, that means that our waste is way above 20-25%. So all those things come into account, and we want to be able to start the job, get it all done, and wrap it up within the timeline. And if we don't have that wastage, then now we're stopping, ordering 6 weeks later, come back and finish a job, and you have a half-finished kitchen backsplash. Nobody wants that.
Nobody wants that.
No.
So what would be a rule for people if they want to go out and buy their own tile? What should they do? Like what percentage should they purchase over and above what they think they need by measuring to be safe?
A good start point for a small size tile is 10 to 15%. And as soon as you jump into the rectangular, like 1 foot by 2 foot, 20% and above. Yeah.
There you go. So is there anything else that people should know when they're wanting to select a tile or when they're purchasing tile?
You could see tile on the regular retailers for inspiration and stuff, but when you go into actually making the decision and purchasing, if you're buying on your own, definitely account for waste. But if you're going to specialty stores like our suppliers in town here in Edmonton, then they would immediately be like, oh, who are you buying this tile with? And that would then trigger them to be like, oh, I actually need an installer for this. So that kind of brings the circle back around, and we get in touch and then get them sorted for that. So essentially, try and find the contractor before you buy the tile.
Before you buy the tile. Okay.
Yeah.
That's probably the best advice when it comes to selecting tile. Make sure you hire the expert first, and then go ensure that they are the ones who are helping you with the tile selection, as well as getting the right amount of tile.
Exactly.
Because then if they get the wrong amount, it's on them.
Yeah. And through us and all the stores that we work with, we are also able to facilitate better pricing than the retail pricing on the shelf. Yeah.
Yeah. That's
So
good to know.
Additional bonus. Yeah.
Right on. Well, thanks a lot, Oscar. That was awesome. A lot of things that people don't know about or not thinking about when they're purchasing some tile or thinking about doing a tile job in their own house. So if you guys are looking for tile, if you're looking for an upgraded backsplash, if you're looking for an upgraded shower or kitchen, look no further than the experts, the tile experts here in Edmonton. They are the best tile installation company in Edmonton and surrounding areas. So if you are in need of a quote and you want to get your space looking like magazine professional, talk to Oscar at the Tile Experts. We'll see you on the next video.
See ya.